Hello everyone. Well, now that cruising season's coming to a close, I thought it was a good time to switch gears, switch up the format a little bit again, and deliver you a video explaining some of the other things that happened this summer. So what did I do for the haul out this year? Well, not a whole lot really. I just applied new anti-fouling paint. Of course, I had to sand the whole hull to prep that. And then I reapplied the same ablative paint. It's Interlux. I went with black. I usually alternate between like a blue and a black every time, just so that I can see where I've painted. If you've watched the last 10-part haul out series I did, where I was up on the hard for almost a month, you'll see that I actually took the paint right down. I reprimed the hull, and that saved me this time from having to do very much work with the prep work with sanding and fairing out. There was really nothing to do, just sand it out. I did have a bit of rain and weather, so between coats I had to wait a couple days, I think it was. It rained pretty hard. One other thing I had to do was replace the transducer for the old Navman depth sounder I had. The transducer I got and the depth sounder, it's Raymarine again. It's a triducer, so it's got the water temperature, speed for your boat speed through the water, and also depth, of course. And for those curious to see the transducer, I've decided to pull apart the front of my bed there and show you where that is. It's just under this stair. I'm just going to go get a light. And you just remove that step, and there's the transducer. So again, that hole was already there for the old transducer for the Navman unit. So I just had to put the new unit in. The only thing about this is you have to have the arrow pointing forward for it to work properly. That's probably for the speed. And to remove it, you just undo the top, pull it out, a flap comes up, it's spring-loaded, and it will stop the majority of the water coming in, and then you put the blank plug in for the times that you're not going to be using the boat for a while. One thing that was interesting about this haul out is that I've never been so close to a train before on my boat. It was a bit unsettling. Not something you experience every day on a sailboat. What else did I do? Not much for the haul out. That was it. It was pretty quick, and 10 days on the hard. Moore's Boat Works in Port Ed, if I haven't already mentioned that. They're the place that hauls out. You may remember I just installed a new autopilot last spring, and I put the control unit for that autopilot up on the bulkhead on the port side, which is a little far from the wheel, but there was already a hole there for the old Navman display for the depth sounder. So I thought I would try that at least temporarily, and I did not like that location. But it was worth a try. It just was really awkward to lock the wheel and then have to walk around and turn the autopilot on, and the same process when I'm turning it off, or to change course a little bit. I've moved the control unit just to the left of the helm when you're sitting, and I really like this new location. So now with the auto helm control display back here, it's much easier to just lock the wheel, which is what you need to do for this type of auto helm, and then just reach over and press auto to turn it on. If I need to change course, I can go plus 1 or 10 degrees port or 1 or 10 degrees starboard, and when I'm ready to take it off auto helm, I just reach over and press the standby button again and unlock it. So much easier than what I had to do before, which was leaving here, walking way up to the bulkhead, pressing the button, changing course, things like that, and also for the turning off of the auto helm. Definitely happy with the unit here. So here's the location of the new depth sounder and knot meter, the metal plate that I had made for the backing of it. I had to do this because there was a large hole here for that old speaker, unfortunately. So I had to sort of make a slightly oversized plate in behind so that I could actually mount these and make it watertight. You might not be able to see it from the camera being way back there, but the numbers are very large, and there was an option to get a single display that showed speed and depth in the same display, but the numbers were much, much smaller and less confusing, I think, if you have two different displays. You wouldn't want to be reading it and thinking you're in 6 feet of water, but you're actually doing 6 knots. Since I draw 6'2", I just thought it'd be simpler to keep them separate and have the larger numbers, because when I'm back at the helm, it's much easier to see these large digital numbers. I'll move the camera a little closer and I'll just show you a couple of the other functions. I haven't played with them a lot, so they're basic. It's depth and speed, but this one here does show you water temperature, as I mentioned, because that's something else I'm going to be taking a look at and writing down next season, what the water temperature is in the different places we go. So here we have the depth on the right and the knot meter on the left. Of course, we're sitting at the dock, so it's 0, and you'll see that Prince Rupert Harbor is very deep. I'm about as far in as you can get at this marina, and it's 80 feet of water right now. We're about halfway through the tide right now, so it will gain a few feet as the tide rises. We do get 24-foot tides here, which I've mentioned in the past, so there's big tide variances here. Something on the displays which is nice is it has a back lamp, so you can increase that. At nighttime, that's a handy function to have because you can still see it, and it's red, so you're not going to ruin your night vision by having the red display in the back. It looks much redder at night, but we're at midday here. So I usually just keep that at 1, so that just as it does get dark, you can see a little bit. Of course, in the daylight, you can't see much. You can set a minimum depth here, so if you want to set it to 10 feet, an alarm will sound if you get into 10 feet or less. Probably a good time to check your depth and see where you're heading. On the knot meter, you've got water temperature, as I mentioned, so it's 11 degrees Celsius here at my marina in the water. You also have kind of like an odometer, like a car. So since I've installed this, I can't remember how to get to it exactly. I'm still learning and playing with these things, but there's an odometer reading. So for the life of the knot meter. And you also have a trip function, of course, so you can just reset that just like in a car to see how many miles you've gone for your trip. And that's about it for those displays. There's a bit of an overlap here, so it's all been sealed. It's aluminum. I was going to go with stainless steel, but aluminum was much easier to work with for the shop, and it looks good enough. It's a bit more rugged. It's not like a polished look, but it'll do. It's watertight and strong. I've just turned the units off, and of course one last thing that came with them is a nice little cover to protect them while they're not in use. So that'll help them from getting scratched and damaged when not in use. That was it, really. Not a lot done. That was a total of 10 days on the hard for this haul out. It was the new bottom paint, new zincs, the new transducer for the depth sounder and knot meter that I installed, and the new location for the auto helm control display. Other than that, it was just a quick run back to Prince Rupert and back in the water, and this was done a while ago, so since then I had done the trip to Dundas Island and the trip with my kids and my father down to Bishop Bay. And I don't know what's next on the agenda, but stay tuned, and I'm sure it will be exciting.